Yeah. So I think my streaming is working perfectly. I'm just double checking my the other device, making to make sure, you know. Okay. So this is um the continuous series of the Snowflake database challenge, the day two. Uh, in day one, we talked about the architecture and how behind the scenes Snowflake is designed the layer for storing the data and for query processing, and at least from high level, right? Because uh, we may not know what exactly the Snowflake has been done, but from the documentation or from the internet forums, we understood, we grabbed the articles and we grabbed the diagram and we uh, understood the the core concept they are using. They named us called the hybrid architecture that is called share disk and share nothing architecture, and Snowflake behind the scene they're storing the data in columnar uh, data format. So these are the things which we saw in day one video. So it's going to be continuation of the day two. Um, why? I mean, in the day two also. I mean, I'm not going to talk about the more about the project side, rather the key component. I want to focus on those area because sometimes we will forget. Uh, will do all the projects and we will start writing the SQL and we do all the Snow Park and ML algorithm everything, but we forget what exactly the code base is running and how the each component behind the scene it is working. So I believe that is also very important when you start using the particular framework or tool. Uh, Including me sometimes, I jump into the project. When I say project, jump into the core concept of the product right away instead of understanding things because that's how in most of the time in our company we have to start writing the sequels and all the in terms of the project line timeline perspective. So we totally forget the key concept, right? So I believe we can take that is as part of this challenging uh, Snowflake. We'll deep dive on the component and at least we try to understand how the core concept is. I mean, at least the interface level or at least the feature which is Snowflake is offering to us. So as part of the day two, I'm so I come up with the last video I presented some presentation, right? So I think sometimes people will also wants to refer um, the documentation which I'm using for my video. So I thought, okay, let's create a article also so that everybody, if they want, they can take a reference of it. There's nothing fancy. I'm just taking the all this stuff from the Snowflake documentation only. But in Snowflake documentation, they probably might provide all the details, but it is I just want to provide uh, the key content. Also, sometimes we forget we never thought about those area, right? So that those are things I want to cover in this article. So I'm going to take this article as my reference, and I'm going to talk more about each in depth. So yeah, so last video we talked about the how to create a Snowflake account. Once you get the Snowflake account, we get the activation unique identifier. that is how we can log in into Snowflake in UI. So today we are going to see about the Snowsight. Uh, Snowsight is nothing but they call the Snowflake user interface called Snowsight. In Snowsight, you can do all the things which is related to all the data engineering or data pipeline, whatever it is. We can do it everything in Snowflake. That the platform called they call as Snowsight. And the other way of connecting also it called SnowSQL. This something like it's a client command line interface tool. It is another software we have download and do that. We can take a look on those as well. And other mechanism like what are the other way of we can connect. We saw that is in high level, but we can try to see further in deeper level. Um, so. Yeah, so Snowsight is again is a web-based interface and integrated development environment provided by Snowflake. So let me go there. So this is my Snowflake account. Um, this is a native account for uh, for my for my project. So this is they called as snow site. So in the snow site, we have a various tools, tabs, right? So basically, um, we can select the admin and everything. Um, what of the account we can select the things, and if you want to write the can support ticket, you can select the support ticket from here and the documentation classic console. So classic console is something like it's a old version of the UI they call classic console. Um, I mean the new version of the UI is called Snowflake. Then nothing fancy. So coming to the project here, we'll I'll just we'll talk about. I mean this specific session, I want to just want to touch upon only on the snow site area. I don't want to deep dive on this each individual component here, but I can walk through what are the things we have to, when we work with the work snow site here. So we can create a SQL worksheet. SQL worksheet is something like you can uh, you can write a SQL which is connecting based on if you want to write a SQL to connect to a database schema to retrieve the data. So that is they call the SQL worksheet, and just like this, I can connect my database and have to select my schema. If you don't select this detail, then you have to manually explicitly write the database name, schema name, and the table name. So that is something we have to make sure. So let me see what table I have it here. Table, let's say customer. So I can just type customer. Um, customer run. Um, yeah. So this is you know this is called the SQL worksheet, and you can rename this like day2 challenge something. You can see all your worksheets here, the current worksheet I'm doing here. And this is the place you can select your role. Right now, I have created a bunch of roles by default. You have a account admin, system admin, org admin, and public. So other than that, you can create your own account for your project perspective or for your learning perspective. And when you before you write or before you execute the SQL, uh, remember in the last PPT, we talked about the query execution plan, right? So when you start writing the executing the query, you have to select your warehouse. So warehouse is nothing but is each individual compute cluster node which is running on the Snowflake cluster. So we have to select. decide what exactly our size of your warehouse. So that we'll talk about later, the challenges in video. But this is typically you have to make sure what the warehouse you want to use for your query. It's based on how complex your query, or uh, how much data you are going to retrieve from the database. So based on that, you have to select your uh, warehouse. So yeah, this is something about the SQL worksheet, and you can also create the Python worksheet. So by default, it will come with some basic template code. You can write a code which is pretty much like Snowpark code, or it's like a Snowpark code, and you can select, for example, specifically if you want any packages like pandas packages. So you have to select the packages accordingly. For example, let me select database public, uh, and then you can search for the pandas and then install. So what version of Python you want to use for your code? Because sometimes on premise you might use 3.9 version, and you want to run the 3.9 version on Snowflake. So there is some flexibility in Snowflake. You can select the respective Python version accordingly. So this is really cool. One of the future, I feel. So this is something about Python worksheet and folder. Yes, we can create a folder and then just map the worksheet, or place the worksheet accordingly. And if outside of the organization or within your organization, somebody create a worksheet and they can share with you, and that will show here. My worksheet is the total number of worksheet which I created so far. The folder, uh, uh, I mean, the folder is nothing but it's like the one which uh, said before, right? So we can create a folder. So by default, we can create a folder. It won't create name like this, but when you import the um, worksheet from 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 the classic console, I remember I mentioned about the classic console. So let's say you created one of the worksheet in classic console and you want to let's give a try. Let me go to classic console. Um, this is the old interface. Um, so let me go to classic console. Um, so just execute. Okay, I kept something as I don't know what is exactly this. So let me close this. Um, so we can import the worksheet. So uh, that's the thing I have mentioned here. Import worksheet. So worksheet larger than 1 MB file to import 1 MB file should fail to import. So um, we had to be keeping in our mind in classic console, if your worksheet is more than 1 MB file, it sometimes has a chance of failure when it import. So again, import, you would like to import two worksheet from classic console, that will create a new template folder. So if I import, uh, as you see, the one which I imported, which I just before created data classic console, now it become as a separate folder, uh, separate sheet in my Snowsight. So that is very very handful feature we can we can think of. And another thing is create worksheet from a SQL file. Let's say I have one SQL file. There is the file. I think I kept somewhere on my Snowflake challenge folder. Okay, if I open it, all right, if you see, select start from customers. This is no .sql file which is sitting in my local system. I just created from the SQL sheet. So yeah, this is also another some. Let's say you downloaded one of the SQL file from internet or from anywhere, and then you can just bring that sheet in a SQL manner. You can start writing it in Snowflake. That is very another cool feature. And recovered worksheet from dropped user, which is something like let's say you're working in an organization, somebody left the organization, and you have to drop the user from Snowflake. So what if that worksheet will happen, right? You can recover the worksheet. Right now, I am the only one user, so we don't have an option. But this is quite very useful when you have a working in a large organization, right? So that is something we have. That's a key point. So yeah, so worksheet and visualizing the worksheet. Um, that is the Streamlit and all will come back later. But this another key component in Snowflake and dashboard. I would say dashboard is something like let's say day two, create dashboard, new title from SQL sheet, let's sales public table. Um, so let's start from just execute, and I can select the chart. Um, I can download the chart. I can um, select the field, whatever the field I want. Um, um, so yeah, so uh, this is just for if I go to here, the day two, the dashboard. I can see the dashboard which I created just based using the SQL, right? Start whatever the customer I created. So pretty very helpful feature, right? So you don't want to connect Tableau or you don't want to connect a Power BI or any other platform or any other visualization tool to do or to execute the things. You just writing the SQL and see the charts, and you can share the charts to your customers, right? That is in short span of time we can cover all this stuff in uh, pretty quickly, right? So that is one of the other cool feature. The application package, like you can create a package in the Snowflake and then wrap that package as a wrapper, and then you can give it to the we can create as a native app. That is something we'll see in later session, and that is all about the app package. Data, this is where you create a database, like creating database, and you can view what are the schema available on the database, and under the schema, what is the tables available. In case if you have view, it will show the view. In case if you have iceberg or external table, that also show here. Stages, stages is another key. That is another uh, cool feature in Snowflake. When we talk about the loading into Snowflake, we'll see about stages part and the functions. Function is another like it's like it's like a pretty like a function in traditional SQL database, right? So you can use the function in your SQL. That is all pretty much about that. And dynamic table. This is another key concept. Will come back later in another challenging video. Um, yeah, so this is all more about the data, basically the key factor for our system to why we want to use Snowflake for which purpose, right? So we want to see the data. So that is where here this icon about. Data product, yeah, this is marketplace. If you want to import any market data available in Snowflake, you can just import and start executing the data. For example, let's say I want I want to use this global weather for climate. So click on this and get, because this is free and unlimited access. Um, get, right? So if I get this, ready to query, no storage cost, because this we also keep in our mind that when we import the data, when we store the data behind the scene, we are also paying money to the Snowflake for the storage perspective, like S3, we're storing the data, right? But this is a common data which is provided by Snowflake, so we don't want to pay extra money for that. So you can just get it for free. But remember that when you start executing the query, you may have to provide the warehouse things, cost, right? Because that is running execution part. Remember, let me show you this. This portion is free, right? This portion is free. This portion is free. But this query process, we have to pay. This matter we have to pay. That is very important part. So as you just see here, I literally copy get the data, as you see, created the shareable database. So everybody can get the free data, which is provided by Snowflake, and you can start playing with the data. And for example, let's say if you want to build a dashboard in Tableau or Power BI connected to Snowflake, right? So this is kind of if for your for your freelancing projects or for any other training things, you can leverage this kind of things. So that is very cool, right? Um, and apps is like third party apps. So these is pretty much you can integrate. Sometimes uh, for we may need extra additional functionalities needed for our business purpose. So I mean, these some of the apps, fulfill those requirements. So we can get the things, we can add that app in Snowflake and we can leverage it. So some app which should be free, some apps we have to pay. That is also we will see when we. But relatively, if you want to know about Snowflake, we do not care about these apps. But also better to know. Uh, Sometimes when our company may want to use an external app. We want to see how we can leverage that. That is key area. And then private sharing. This is the something about sharing your data to others internally, externally. What role, what user, what authentication, right? Those things we'll talk about in private sharing. That is also another thing we'll talk about another. And provider studio. This is um, This is also like the third party kind of information. This will come back to this later. In case if you want to talk about, if you want to know about this portion, any of this component in earlier sessions, probably let me know. I can cover in maybe before daytime challenges. In Partner Connect, yes, this is sometimes we want to use the other outside partners like app, but it is more integrated kind of things. That is also we will see in later. Monitoring. So this is where exactly you'll monitor your Snowflake instance. What is exactly is going on. For example, just before I created the database with from global weather climate, right, from the warehouse, from the marketplace. So each and every activity we can track over here. Um, and then duration, session ID, we can extend the column, auto refresh. You can keep this auto refresh pattern, and then copy history. Um, this is uh, no copies found because we haven't copied anything. And task history, I don't think any task I have it. Um, this is this is like a DAX scheduler. Task is one of the other component in Snowflake where you can have your uh, job, like have your SQL or some kind of task, and if you want to schedule the task, If you want to have a dependent task, you can create task chain in Snowflake. That is also is one of the area we want to see when we go for the next level of challenges in future videos. So yeah, this is also very important portion in Snowflake. And dynamic tables, this is I think this is recently added or a new feature in Snowflake, but I love this feature. I don't know talk this right now, but I can tell you the high level thing. You don't want to create a separate streaming. Um, we don't want to create separate streaming pipeline for loading the data. For example, the Kafka based on the producer, we will just start streaming the data some interval, right? Likewise, it doesn't require within Snowflake itself. This dynamic table concept, you can refresh based on some kind of SQL, right? So if there's any data changes in the underlying table, as we create it as a dynamic table, what will happen is every 1 minute this will see any changes in this data or not. If there's any changes in the data by the based on the regular interval, it will go and update the data set in the table of sales summary. I created a long time back, and maybe when we talk more about it this in future, but this is also very important feature in Snowflake dynamic table. Most of the companies started adapting this one for various projects. So we'll talk about also more about this stuff. But another thing is if you can see the graph of what exactly the thing is, right? So and uh, and the refresh history. Um, okay, so seems like it's refreshing every minute. I didn't notice that. All right, so I mean it's against the execution, right? So I can drop this for now because I don't want to keep my session, dynamic session that I have to pay, money to Snowflake, which is this my personal account. I don't want to do that. So I mean, the whole idea is we want to see that what's dynamic table, right? So um, that is all about this one. And let me, I deleted, right? I deleted this drop. Okay. And then draw this one and draw this one. Okay, so now dynamic table, nothing. Okay, go on. Cool. Um, and then thing is next is the admin. If you're admin for your company or for your account, right now I'm only person I'm using this account, but in case if you're from working in a company, uh, probably a few or two or three guys, maybe or one guy will be in admin. So they will taking care of creating the varos. This portion also will come back later. Um, how to create a varos and cost management. Like we can set up the uh, budget for our thing, and then user role, what user we can create, and the password, native password and email. Then it will send the email to the particular user for them to log in into Snowflake to our account. But in organization perspective, they do have a separate SSO kind of thing, right? Because single sign-on, in single sign-on doesn't require to set up this kind of role. It's setup will be taken care by single that authentication method. So that is all about the users and roles. Um, you can specify the login name, display, and by default, what is the user default role. You we generally we don't want to give these, right? So we can create a another default user role and assign small values if the user is first time. That is we have to we have to look into it. And an account, how many accounts we have created? Basically, the account be a login, and sometimes we may create a more than multiple accounts, the same region. We can use that. And security, like network policy, uh, because sometimes we want to access Snowflake um, outside of the Snowflake. For example, if you're familiar with the DBT Cloud or DBT or other Matillion or other Informatica or any other tools, they are hosting in different machines. That machine have a separate network and separate IP address, right? So we want to access from that machine to Snowflake. Here, we have to put the network policy and allow we have to put the IP address here to making sure, hey, I'm a I'm a valid IP address for this request. Could you please allow me to access the Snowflake account? So that is all about the network policy and network rules here, and you can see the sessions. So what is the session is created for individual as of now, everything created by my account. So that's why you're seeing my username and everything is OAuth because by default it is OAuth. And the contacts, this is something like who's the contact of the person, and then billing terms, that is basically your credit card things, right? So this is typically a snowflake. So at least I think I covered pretty much all the component. I touched the component, but I haven't talked about the each individual component in depth, uh, because in this session I just want to stick with what exactly the snowflake, not what the key component here. So yes, um, that is all about the snow site. And the interesting part here is the SnowSQL. The other way of connecting our Snowflake account from our local laptop or local or on-premise machine using SnowSQL uh, interface tool software, right? So if you go to the documentation, um, there's a connector installing, and this will take us to Snowflake download SnowSQL download software file. So if you click on this, it will download the SnowSQL exe, and after you install the SnowSQL exe, then we can we can check SnowSQL read. I think. All right. So this is my latest version. So couple of things I want to touch here. That is what I have given in this documentation. You can verify with the version, and before I come to this point, by default the SnowSQL file, the configuration file will store in the your users your username, and the username the .NoSQL folder, and this is the configuration file. And this configuration file and this log file is very, very important. Why? Using this configuration file, you can connect your multiple Snowflake account, and you can play around with this configuration later. But that is very important. And in fact, in case if there is anything goes wrong, if you want to see what happened when you want to upload the things from SnowSQL from client to uh, Snowflake. If anything goes wrong, you can see the log here. That is, so these are three. These are the two very important file which is we usually um, work on these two files. So let me open this configuration file in my Notepad++, and you see this has various variable, right? Parameters and variables, I would say. I'm not sure what exact term it is, but I just named it variable and value. And one of the thing, if you notice here, um, they 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 kept this in this tab, right? Connection.example. So uh, we can put our username, uh, like like account name. Like my account name is this one. If you see my account name is this. So I can replace this, and then my username is this, and my password. Let me move this to hide here for some time, and then I can show you uh, uh, how I mean after you enter the password, uh, so we can connect the Snowflake just like the SnowSQL -c and the tag name, right? So in this case, remember we kept the tag name is same at example. We can rename whatever we want. So so SQL -c and my connection name is example, right? The tag name is. If I enter, so I'm expecting to log into my account. So see, this is enter my values, uh, and if I see, I'm returning, I'm literally executing the SQL from my CLI interface, but how quickly we are connecting to Snowflake from CLI. That is the thing I want to. If you do Control D in Windows or Control, I'm not sure about Mac, then you can exit from this terminal. So let me revert back my account and then come back this sheet for a moment. I reverted this back. Now, if I execute this, the same command again, it won't work, right? Because there is no such account name here. So um, that is one of the we want to make we want to one of the way we can connect the thing. And what is the other way? The other way is you can use this approach, but so you don't want to use CLI, you don't want to use, you don't want to provide the uh, account, password, name, everything, password and all in your configuration file, but you want to use kind of external authentication method, right? This is another approach, like provide the Snowflake account and username. And if you execute this, for my account, it won't work because this is only for SSO enabled method. Right now, my application, my account doesn't have SSO enabled, but in your organization or in your for your client, they might have that SSO. So you don't want if clients say, "Hey, I can't share my password," right? So they can start executing the SnowSQL from their client interface. It will take them to their browser just for authentication purpose as a one time, and then it will be, they can start executing everything in the backend. I mean, they can use NoSQL and CLI backend. So that is very another way of approaching or connecting the connecting to the Snowflake from things. So that is all about the top about here. So they provided what are the other I mean from Linux how we can how we can set up the things. All setups, all these things have been covered in this documentation. But this is what they have at high level. And the other area I want to touch up here is when I read this from documentation, I was surprised. Um, I installed my SnowSQL long time back, but I never upgrade. I never thought of the upgrade. So now I realize this where this I believe the challenging will come will helps me, right? Because it helps me to understand the things very detail level rather than just looking at a high level. So if you see the Snowflake upgrade itself automatically to the latest patch version. So if you have installed something in your machine, let's say today, tomorrow Snowflake releases some latest version. By default, a Snowflake automatically upgrade the SnowSQL in your machine. So that is uh, interesting part, right? So each time when you run the same SQL, the client checks whether new version is available. If not, then SnowSQL upgrade repository. SnowSQL downloads its background process while current install version. Um, that is very interesting. So by behind the scene background process, it will start checking your local SnowSQL version versus the Snowflake version. If there is any variation, then it will start upgrading that by itself. But uh, uh, if you don't want to use the latest version for some reason, for example, you might have your code 2 years of code, but you don't want to go with the latest NoSQL version. Yes, you can do that. Running a previous Snowflake version is needed, right? So every everything they are you know uh, provided here. I think can is that no. So, but this documentation they have provided uh, all all details about these NoSQL. Um, yeah, you can. Let me. Okay, this is not. I'm not talking about. Uh, using. No. Let's check this. NoSQL. Okay. So here, if I type version. So if you have more than one version in my machine, it will list down all the version, and then I can select the respective version which I want. That is where that is how they have given the documentation. Even I never tried that, but we can give a try in case if you guys want to take a look on it. Probably I can I can install the oldest version. I can test it out. But that is an option available in SnowSQL. You can go back with the previous version, come back with the latest version. But you don't want to some situation you don't want to uh, upgrade to latest version by itself, right? So you don't want you're not allowing you don't want allow Snowflake to run the process in background. So that is another way you can disable that. So no up, right? So if you use this command, disable auto upgrade for this one. So this is also is a key part. If you don't want Snowflake to upgrade your SnowSQL to always latest version, you can disable that feature from your machine. That's what I have given because I read pretty much all the documentation and I thought which is key area because most of the time we touched rest of the command for project perspective, but these things probably we might miss out. So that's why I captured those things and I put it in a documentation for our future reference. So yeah, so this is another thing I thought to discuss this. Um, so I mean, and if you guys have any other topic in SnowSQL, just let me know. Way or for next video, I can talk about more on that. So another thing, recent release Snowflake extension for Visual Studio Code. I love this feature because uh, some of us, we generally wants to work in a Visual Studio Code, right? For project perspective, writing a code or a Python code or Java, TypeScript, whatever it is. So it is more handy for the developers to use it, right? Um, so what you can do is um, go to the extension tab, type Snowflake, and this is the thing. Connect to Snowflake, right? SQL query is from snowflake.com. They have released this extension and these many downloads, and this can see the stars. As soon as you install this uh, extension, uh, you you um, okay, so you get this extension Snowflake icon here. So if you click on Snowflake icon, you have this login, right? So let me try it out now. Let's take my account, connect, password, username. Let me sign in. Oh, right? So I can select my database, sales, bubbly, right? And data, um, and sales, public, and tables, customer. I can see the data, right? So this is if you have familiar with the VS Code and you don't if you want to use VS Code for some reason, then I think the future is available here, right? So um, um, this is another way of uh, you know um, executing executing your connecting to your um, Snowflake from Visual Studio Code. So yeah, this is how this is what I want to cover in this session. Let me see. Just okay. Okay, look on. Snowflake VS Code extension, right? Sometimes sign in, activity bar, add account, and then you can configure your Snowflake account. So yeah, so this is what they have given in the documentation. Um, I think I don't know some reason. Mm, oh here, okay, desktop equal. Um, so sidebars, query panels, Snowflake, query panel SQL file, left to most account, it explore queries, stripping. I do see my panel, right? I, um, okay. Um, I select, start from, um, customer, and food, right? So we can start executing, writing the SQL from which studio code, right? That is pretty awesome, right? So I think we we covered the day two. We complete our day two. So I think in upcoming videos, it's going to be a more interesting topics and more interesting sessions. Uh, so you know, if you really like this video, just let me know in the comment section. Or if you have any other topic if you want to cover in a day three, just put also in the comment section. We will I will try to come up with an topic accordingly. See you next video.